You're listening to V&A Shipping, written and read by J.R. Murdoch. For more information, please visit ofgnomesandDwarves.com. Vic got in his seat next to Aardman. The chase had been fun, but now it was over, and it was almost time to get back to business. If nothing else, he could spend a few minutes talking with Aardman. The two of them had shared the same cramped cockpit for, almost 6 years? It was another year after that when June had shown up. Boy, was that kid Joey ever in for a shock. "So what's the status?" Aardman growled gruffly. "Are you sure it was the same ship? The Apprehension? You know they're not supposed to leave their solar system, right?" Aardman cocked his head to the side as if to say, "Give me a break." "Okay, I was just checking. You never know. You know, I think you gave Joey a good scare. That smile was priceless. I thought he was going to piss himself." Aardman didn't laugh. "Oh, come on. I know you didn't mean to scare him. You didn't mean to scare me the first time I met you either. Or June. Or Dexter." A low, angry rumble came from Aardman's chest. "Hey, I didn't know he was going to hit you like that. I was surprised, too, when he took you down with one hit. Little bugger's quick. You got to give him that." Aardman shrugged and nodded.
"Hey, you two. Mind if I join you?"
"Hey, June. How's Joey doing? Did he go to bed without a fight?"
"Well," June bit her lip. "He freaked out a little bit. Wanted to call his parents."
"Sounds familiar. So what happened?"
"Dexter offered to keep an eye on him, and, well, Joey kind of offended Dexter."
"Is the kid going to be okay?"
"He'll be fine. He's going to have a big headache in the morning, though. I really think you should have talked to him tonight, though. He's really going to have a bad day tomorrow, even if we do make it to port."
"Oh, we'll make it to port all right. Blanchard is paying us nearly double our normal rate for this shipment." Vic smirked and half closed his eyes. He was so good at this shipping business.
June shook her head. "Have you ever thought of giving shipments that don't have us breaking any laws?"
"We're not breaking any galactic laws, so we're really not breaking the law."
"Vic, you know how I feel about that answer."
"Are you trying to tell me this isn't exciting?"
"At first it was, but now, I just don't know. I'm not getting the same rush when we run from the cops."
Vic laughed and smoothed his mustache. "The fuzz are never going to catch up with us. We're too good."
"That's the kind of attitude that's going to get us caught one day, and I think that's what scares me about you, Vic."
Aardman chortled agreement. "Oh, what do you two know?"
"I know you're a fun guy, Vic, but I also know that you don't want to end up in the GCP Central Jail. A cute guy like you would have a tough time in there."
Vic sighed. Maybe she was right, but he wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of telling her that. He still liked the feeling he got when he ran from the police. Besides, they had rules to follow, and that made it all the easier to get away from them. Aardman had been checking something, and he leaned closer to read a display. "What is it?" Vic asked. Aardman shrugged his head and heaved a defeated breath. Vic leaned over and looked at the display. "You have got to be kidding me."
"What is it, Vic?"
"The Apprehension is making a course correction for Munchkata system."
"Our home port?"
"I'm afraid so."
"Vic, this little game has got to end."
June turned and left. This wasn't that bad, though. The police could sit there. That was true. They just couldn't exercise any authority. If they did, they were in direct violation of galactic law. That was, of course, if they hadn't contacted GCP Central Office and gotten permission to leave their system. But that took days to happen. There was no way they had gotten permission to leave their system in time to come after them. They had given chase, though. Vic had suspected they would, and Aardman had done a great job of leaving multiple trails, so they just floated out of sight. It still didn't answer the question of why they had gone to the Munchkata system. Vic had Tootsie change the ship's numbers. "Tootsie!"
"Hello, Vic."
"Tootsie, did you change the ship's numbers?" There was a long pause.
"I don't feel good about doing it, but yes, I did."
"Did you change them when we went on to Bomda?" Again another long pause.
"You didn't ask me to."
Vic pressed his face into his hands.
Tootsie always took everything he said in literal extremes.
"How many times have I had you change the ship's numbers before we land?"
"Almost every time."
"Almost?"
"You didn't this time."
"Tootsie!"
"You never gave me a standing order to change the ship's numbers each time."
"I shouldn't have to."
"I'm only a computer."
"Do you really need to point that out to me now? Did you ever use any other numbers of real ships?"
"I can't do that."
"Why not?"
"That would be illegal."
Vic pulled on his hair. That's why the police cruiser went straight to their home port. All the other numbers Tootsie had used were fake, and not even real ships. All they had to do was track down the numbers that gave a real home port, and they were there. Now they knew about him, about the crew, everything. Tootsie, wasn't changing the numbers in the first place illegal?
Yes, but to use another ship's numbers is another charge.
I really got to get a less moralistic computer for this ship. Tootsie, I need to give you a standing order.
Ready to receive.
He had to word this carefully. There couldn't be any misunderstanding. Tootsie was going to take this literally, so he needed to make sure she understood. Never, under any circumstances, do anything that will upset me. There was a beep that resounded throughout the entire ship. The lights dimmed. Both Vic and Aardman looked around nervously. Aardman whimpered. Tootsie? Tootsie's response wasn't in her normal sweet tone, but in a more mechanical and harsh. Processing. Please stand by.
Vic!
June yelled up from the lounge. The con was out. That couldn't be a good thing. Just when he thought he knew all about this computer stuff, something else went wrong. Hey, Aardman, when Tootsie comes back online, get us out of here. Aardman barked.
Mom? Mom, where are you? Dad?
The house was empty. Not only were Joey's mom and dad missing, but everything was gone. No furniture, no carpets. The walls were stripped of all pictures and posters. The doors were all open, and each room showed the same barrenness.
Hello?
Joey's voice echoed and gave him a chill.
Is anyone home? Hello?
He found his way through the house and looked outside. The sun was intensely bright. He had to shield his eyes. The heat was almost unbearable. He ran across the vacant street to the neighbor's house. The door was open. The house was in the same condition as his own. Empty. He checked several houses, running from one to the other. Each time he encountered the same thing. No one was home. Everyone was gone. Joey stood in the middle of the street and screamed,
Joey, wake up! Joey!
When he opened his eyes, June was over him, shaking him. June, the woman who smelled like his mother. It was the perfume. It had to be. She wore the same perfume his mother did. He smiled.
You were screaming.
He rubbed his eyes.
What time is it? It doesn't matter. What were you dreaming?
Nothing. It's not important. June stood up and shook her head.
If it wasn't important, I wouldn't be asking. What were you dreaming?
Joey smacked his lips and tried to recall. It was so foggy.
I was back at my house, but it was empty. No one home. No one was in my neighborhood either. Everyone was gone. Was the sun really bright? Yeah, it was. How did you know that? I had the same dream when I first got here. Same dream? Why? Vic will have to explain that. I think we're still adrift, so let's go see if he'll talk to you now.
The bed wasn't that comfortable, so Joey wasn't too sorry to get out of it. He was even more uncomfortable to see Dexter sitting in the bed across, just watching, his three eyes blinking out of time with each other. After using the extremely small, all-stainless steel bathroom, Joey followed June up to the kitchen. Vic was there. I don't care what it takes, you tin can. Just talk with Tootsie and get her working again. Vic was talking with a robot. It was crude in design, cylindrical body with head and large protruding eyes. It had arms and legs little thicker than ropes, but equipped with oversized hands with too many fingers on each. Joey counted 7, but thought there may be more. XBX-39 isn't good communicating with Tootsie. Well, XBX-39 needs to learn how to be. I didn't buy you to just sit on the ship and play games with the crew. But the crew likes my games.
Excuse me, Vic, Joey's awake.
Joey assumed the robot's name was SBX-39. It looked surprised when it saw Joey, shrieked, then collapsed into itself. It fell to the floor with a loud clang like nothing more than a fancy coffee can.
What was that?
That was SBX-39, the most neurotic robot I've ever had to deal with. Now that he's spooked, he'll be like that for hours. Why I ever bought that thing? June scooped up the robot and placed it on the table and sat across from Vic.
Because you knew it was in danger of being scrapped and took pity on it. That's why.
Pity? That must have been it, 'cause it sure wasn't common sense. I think I'll scrap that thing myself if we ever get going again. Joey sat down next to June. Her scent made him feel more comfortable. He knew something was up, but didn't want to jump to any conclusions before he knew what was happening. So, kid, how you feeling?
I'll feel better once I know what's going on.
Want a beer? Joey chuckled.
I don't think so. It didn't taste as good as I thought it was going to.
It wasn't really beer, June said.
It was actually a Slovakian ale, and a particularly strong one. They're good, but you need to drink them really slow.
That's not important. Kid, you need to know what's going on, and you need to know sooner rather than later. This isn't going to be easy. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Earth isn't what it used to be. That's why we can't go home.
What do you mean? I was just there yesterday.
No, you were there in 2005. You weren't there yesterday. This is where the shock part comes in. On Earth, the year would be closer to 10,005. Joey blinked, not comprehending what Vic had said. That couldn't be right. How could that be right? 8,000 years in the future?
How?
Something about that machine my dad built sent us through time, space, and far into the future. Well, far into the future as far as we're concerned. From what I've been able to figure out, about 8,000 years into the future.
But why can't we go home?
It still made no sense. They couldn't possibly be 8,000 years in the future. There's no way. No one could do that. Look, kid, I hope when you left, my mom was doing all right, but there's no way I can go back and see her. Earth isn't the place it used to be.
Joey looked at June. You mean the dream?
June nodded. Kid, I've looked and looked, but the best answer I've found is there was a galactic war about 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. A weapon went astray, and our sun went into a premature nova. Not a supernova, but just nova, and it didn't blow the Earth away, but it got hot enough to kill everyone off. Everyone on Earth is dead. But you'll have to understand, all that would have happened long after everyone you knew was already dead and gone.
That was comforting. Not only was the Earth a wasteland, like he'd seen it in his dream, but everyone was dead. Dead and gone, never to be seen again. It was all lost. Everything. There were no more Iron Butterfly albums, no more Carlos, no more Mom and Dad. What had they thought after he left? Did they worry? Did anyone miss him? What happened to them all? Everyone? His voice felt weak as he asked. He felt sick.
Kid, we've been back to Earth. I can take you back there if you want. June's been there with me twice now. Not much has changed over the years, and we were actually able to find our old houses. Everything was empty. It was all gone.
Just like my dream? I think you got that from me, June said sheepishly. What? Why was everything so confusing? What was going on? I picked up some strange psychic abilities that I really don't have any control over. I was having the same dream, and I must have been forcing it into your dreams, too. I don't understand. Everything is gone?
June, I don't think the kid is going to snap out of this.
He has to.
Look, kid, I'll put it another way. Maybe this will be easier. You, me, and June here are the last people from Earth. We're it. Everyone else is dead.
No, it can't be. It just can't be.
Joey tried to stand up and got his legs caught on the table's bench. He banged his elbow hard on the floor.
It just can't be.
June, you need to get him something. I don't want Dexter to knock him out again. Joey laid on the floor and kicked his legs and tried to force the bench to move out of his way, as if it was the bench's fault he fell down. He didn't care. He just didn't care. It's not fair! It's not fair!
Why did he press that button? Why? Why had he been so stupid? All he had to do was leave, but no, he had to be the nice guy and look at that machine with Elsa. Joey stood up and started punching at the refrigerators. He didn't care how much it hurt. The pain had let him know that at least he was still alive. This is your fault, he screamed and pointed at Vic.
My fault? How's this my fault?
Your father built that machine. Without it, none of us would be here.
Joey lunged at Vic. He extended his hands to grab Vic's throat. He stopped just inches from a very frightened-looking Vic.
Sorry I took so long.
Joey tried to turn his head, but could only move his eyes. June was holding what looked like a gun with a large opening pointed at him. Vic took several quick breaths. Kid, that was close. I'm going to have to leave you in there until you calm down.
Vic, is that a good idea?
Look, he lunged at me.
Can you blame him?
Well, leave him in there for a little bit, or lock him up somewhere. I think you'll be more comfortable right there, though. And come get me when that tin can wakes up and feels like talking to Tootsie so we can get out of here.
Joey started to cry. Why had he pressed that button? Why?
The lights were dimmed, and the music was soft. A bath was just what BT Justice needed, and he was the only one on the ship allowed to take one. It was all just a matter of time before the SS Acid Rat and its captain arrived. He would have them trapped in a tractor beam before they knew what hit them. It was such a perfect setup. "Sheriff Justice, sir," a voice on the con interrupted. Perfect timing, wasn't it? He hadn't even been able to light the cigar he'd been chewing. What was it with this crew? Couldn't they understand an order not to be disturbed?
"What is it? This had better be important. I left orders not to be disturbed."
"Sir, it's important. Should I put the message on your viewer?"
"Message? Message from who?"
"Sir, it's GCP Central Office. They've been trying to reach you. I told them you were indisposed. I don't think they were too happy."
"Didn't you tell them we were silent running?"
"I think you should listen to the message, sir."
"Put it through."
A panel on the wall slid aside, and a viewer sprung to life with color before Counselor Petrine appeared on the screen. Justice had never seen the man before, and was disappointed to see that he looked just as much the weasel he suspected he would. He even held his hands up to his chest, while his twitchy nose wiggled with every syllable. "Sheriff Justice, we have been attempting to contact you for several hours now. Your crew keeps telling us that you are not available and that you are running a silent patrol around your system. We need to inform you that your request was discussed because of the charges you made against the SS Acid Rat. It appears that this ship has been tracked before and is wanted in over 40 systems for an abundance of crimes. You are therefore relieved of any pressure to pursue the ship. The Council will convene again tomorrow, and we will take steps to apprehend the ship and its crew. You are to take no action." Did he just say take no action? Justice leapt out of the bathtub.
"No action? No action? I'm not letting them get away and get lost in your system."
"And we would appreciate your staying out of the way so the Galactic Patrol can apprehend them. If you have any other information regarding the ship and its crew, you are ordered to forward it immediately to the GCP Central Office for processing."
"I'll do nothing of the sort. You let them get away. They're mine, and I'll deal with them in my own way. I can't believe this."
Sheriff Justice grabbed a towel and wrapped it around his waist. With water still dripping off his body, he opened the door to his room and shouted,
"Junior! Hamburger! And get the GCP Central Office on the con!"
He pulled the cigar from his mouth and threw it on the ground. It felt good to smash it with his heel. How dare they usurp his authority? Well, maybe it wasn't usurping, but they were not letting him finish what he'd started. They were preventing him from bringing down this scumbag. Where was Junior? BT Justice stomped back and forth across the room. He thought about putting on clothes and toyed with the idea once or twice. He'd left the soapy footprints on the carpet, and it was probably a good idea to wear clothes when speaking to that weasel Petrine. Oh, did he have words for that one?
"Where should I put this?" Junior asked as he entered the room.
Justice had just dropped his towel.
"Get in here and close the door. Put that on the table. Did you get them on the con?"
"Yes, sir. They're on hold now. You should put something on. I don't think they'll want to talk to you when you're all together."
"Don't talk to me like an idiot, Junior. I'm getting dressed in my evening robes. I was supposed to be sleeping after all."
The robes were blue and gold, just like his ship. It made him proud to wear the colors. He just had to make Petrine see and feel that pride, so there would be no doubt that there was one man to take up the chase.
"Put it through."
The screen turned on. Petrine looked sleepy. "Sheriff Justice, can I help you? It's quite late here."
"It's early here. I just heard your message. I must disagree most strenuously. I feel that I am the perfect man to take up this chase."
"What is this regarding?"
"Imbecile."
"It's about allowing me to pursue the SS Acid Rat out of my solar system. I've found their home port and would like to—"
"No."
"What?"
"Absolutely not. Should you get in the way, you could cause more trouble and the suspect could escape."
"But if we hid in their home port system, we could—"
"No. That's not the way we do things. This is why you were not allowed to continue pursuit. We have a system in place, and it works quite well."
"So well that they're wanted in over 40 systems?"
"Yours is not the position to dispute the way in which the Galactic Patrol does business. Yours is to hand over any information you feel would be pertinent to capturing them alive. Should you not do so, you will be in violation of Agenda—" Petrine kept talking, but none of it was what Justice wanted to hear. He'd been denied, halted in his tracks before the chase really began. Even if he were to capture them, he'd have to turn them over to the Galactic Patrol. He'd lost. He'd lost the first chase in his new ship. But wait, had he really lost? They didn't know he was outside his system, and if the SS Acid Rat came through his system...
What if they come through my system again? They are now wanted there. Could I apprehend them there?
Counselor Petrine looked confused as his speech was cut off.
Of course. We can do nothing if they are caught breaking a law in your system. As long as you understand that when they are done serving the term in your system's prisons, they must be released to the Galactic Patrol to answer to crimes committed in other systems.
Most assuredly. I will maintain my vigil and notify the GCP Central Office of anything I discover.
Petrine narrowed his eyes. Justice switched the viewer off, dropped his robe to the floor, and strode back to the bathtub.
Junior, bring me my drink and a fresh cigar, and let me know the moment the SS Acid Rat, or any other ship for that matter, enters this system.
He was going to have his prize. He was going to go home with the SS Acid Rat in custody, or not at all. They were his. Oh, yes, they were. June sat down and stared at Joey. He was cute in a boyish way. It was so sad that he'd been ripped from his home. There was nothing to do but let him hang there and work it out himself. Vic had left in a huff. That was so typical of him. Just when things got tough emotionally, he bails out. Perhaps that's why she never found herself interested in him. Sure, he had the bad boy, 70s slacker mentality, give it to the man, that made him so endearing, but that was only good for so long. It was actually starting to get old. Maybe she'd grown up along the way, and he hadn't. That had to be it. Vic was Vic and always would be. With Dexter, Mike, and Aardman around, why should he change? Joey still hadn't moved. Joey placed the immobilizer gun on the table. It was a good weapon, but only good for one shot before he had to recharge it. Dexter had brought it up and had put it in the lounge. Dexter had a way of knowing when things were going to happen. She wanted to reach up and brush his curly blonde hair from his eyes, but she'd tried touching a person in an immobilizer field before and had her hand stuck. The field could be deactivated if you wanted to, but it also wore off on its own after an hour or so.
You shouldn't have gone after Vic like that, Joey. He'll help you if you let him, but you can't attack him just because you're upset over this mess. You know what I did when I got here? I curled up into a ball for a week and refused to eat or talk or anything. It didn't help until I started talking about it. Oh, and don't mock his authority either. He really doesn't like that.
June had butted heads with Vic on more than one occasion. He was a man who always wanted to be either in control or give the appearance of control. Unfortunately, June had become much the same, except much less pig-headed than Vic.
So, how long should I leave you in there?
It hadn't occurred to her that Joey had no idea how long he would remain up there.
I can turn this off any time, but I've got to know that you've calmed down and you're ready to start accepting this. I know it's difficult, but throwing a fit isn't going to change anything. In fact, it'll make things worse for all of us.
Joey's eyes moved and kept looking at her. He could hear her. She'd been placed in an immobilization field before, and you could move your eyes, hear, and breathe. That was about it. It was a very efficient weapon for capturing people.
If I let you down, will you sit and talk to me and not go all bonkers? Blink once for yes and twice for no.
Joey blinked once.
If you try and jump me like you tried to jump Vic, I assure you that I'll scream for Dexter. He was nice to you once. He won't be so friendly the second time. I assure you that.
The gun had several buttons on its side, all unlabeled. Why people who made things like this felt the need to make everything without good identifying marks was beyond her. Perhaps it was a way to create a more universal weapon without specific markings for one specific species. Who knew? All she knew was the red button was on and the green button released the person.
Brace yourself. This table is hard.
She pressed the green button, and Joey fell onto the table. He bounced slightly and gripped his side and groaned. She'd forgotten he was already hurt.
I'm sorry. I should have put something soft down for you. I thought you'd catch yourself.
Joey grunted.
Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
He rolled off the table and onto the bench seat.
We've got something around here for pain, but it'll put you to sleep.
I'd rather be awake right now, thanks.
June bit her upper lip.
You want a beer or something?
No, I don't think I want anything.
Food?
No.
Do you want to take a shower? No, nothing. Just leave me alone. Look, Joey, I was depressed for a long time when I got here, too. I know what you're thinking. Talk to me. If you know what I'm thinking, then you just leave me alone. She wasn't about to do that. I took pictures when Vic took me back. If you want to, maybe later, look at them. Are they something that'll make me feel better? Well, no. They're kind of freaky with all the empty houses and empty streets. I still have nightmares. Like the one I had? Yes, I'm pretty sure I pushed that onto you. I've done the same thing to Vic. So, what's up with him anyway? He doesn't seem really surprised that I'm here or even care that his mom wants to see him. He just acts all tough and distant.
June shook her head and brushed her hair back.
That's just the way he is. Figure he came here and had no idea what to expect, and no one here to help him. I think he thought he might find his dad and imagine how he felt when he got here, your age, and was all alone. He's been through a lot. How'd he get this ship and everything? That's for him to tell you. I'm not going there, and I probably won't be there when he finally does tell you. Hearing that story once was enough for me.
And it had been enough. She still got shivers thinking about the first time Vic told her. She'd only been on the ship for a couple of weeks when he told her. She would listen to it if Vic made her, but she wasn't going to do it willingly.
Is it that bad? Look, you'll have to wait until he tells you, but yes, it's that bad. If you think you're having a bad day, well, just wait until he tells you. You'll look at him differently. He's stubborn and all, but...
What else could she say? She hadn't given it much thought about what Vic's personality was like. After hearing his story about what it was like when he'd got here, she didn't want to hear anything more about it. He'd tried on occasion, but she would always have something better to do, and leave him talking with Mike or Dexter. SPX-39's head rose slightly from its body. June smiled. Finally a distraction. The robot was distracting almost to a fault.
SPX-39, it's safe to come out. This is Joey. He's not going to hurt you.
She held a hand out to allow him to sit next to her. XPX-39 is not so sure about that.
He's from the same place that Vic and I are from. You can trust him.
SPX-39 does not trust Vic.
You trust me, don't you? June asked in a cooing voice.
SPX-39 expanded a little more. She had to work with it many times. Vic just didn't have the ability to talk nice with it. He got frustrated too easy.
SPX-39, this is Joey. Joey, this is SPX-39. Nice to meet you.
Joey reached out to shake its hand. SPX-39 shrunk back. June said softly,
Where are your manners? Shake Joey's hand and be nice to him. He's not going to try and hurt you.
SPX-39 thinks he wants to crush my hand.
He's not going to crush your hand.
Slowly, one arm extended and touched Joey's hand ever so briefly before retracting.
Now that you've done that, please go talk to Tootsie so we can get underway.
Because June wishes it, SPX-39 will do it. The robot expanded to its full height and raced from the room. June laughed. Joey was still looking at his hand.
What is it? She asked. That's the first robot I've touched, and I think it was the strangest thing that's happened to me since I've been here. Really? You've met Jupnop, haven't you? Well, yeah, that was weird too. Is there anything else I should be prepared for?
June laughed. Oh, was he in for more surprises? He still hadn't met Mike. You've been listening to V&A Shipping, written and read by J.R. Murdoch. For more information about this podcast and its author, please visit ofgnomesandDwarves.com. V&A Shipping is released under a Creative Commons Attributions Only, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives Works 3.0. Feedback can be sent to jrmurdoch@ofgnomesandDwarves.com, or you can find me at Twitter or Facebook as J.R. Murdoch. There's a lot of podcast fiction out there. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this one.